Carl Edwards is one of the most fascinating figures in NASCAR history, not just because of his talent, but also due to the way he suddenly left the sport at the height of his career. His recent interview on the Dale Jr. podcast provided one of the most detailed explanations of his decision, something we had speculated about for years. Before we get into his retirement, it's important to understand why Carl Edwards was such a big deal in NASCAR. Born in 1979 in Columbia, Missouri, Edwards had an unconventional path to racing success. Unlike many drivers who come from wealthy racing families, Edwards had to work his way up. He even handed out business cards offering his services as a driver, hoping someone would give him a shot. His break came in the early 2000s when he was signed by Jack Roush to drive in the NASCAR Truck Series. From the start, he showed incredible talent. By 2005, he was racing full-time in the Cup Series for Roush Fenway Racing. That same year, he won 4 races and finished third in the championship standings, proving he was a future star. Over the next decade, Edwards became one of the most consistent drivers in NASCAR. He won 28 Cup Series races, including some of the biggest events in the sport. He was also known for his signature backflip celebration, which became one of the most famous traditions in NASCAR. One of the most memorable seasons of Edwards' career was in 2011. That year, he battled Tony Stewart for the championship in what turned out to be one of the closest title fights in NASCAR history. The two drivers ended up tied in points. Since Stewart had more wins that season, he was awarded the championship. Edwards had come as close as possible to winning a title without actually winning it. Many drivers would have struggled to recover from such a heartbreaking loss, but Edwards remained competitive in the following years. He moved to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015 and found success there, winning 5 races in 2 seasons. In 2016, he once again found himself in the championship hunt. The 2016 season was another great year for Edwards. He won 3 races and made it to the Final 4 in the playoffs, setting up another championship battle at Homestead. This time he seemed to be in control. With just a few laps to go, he was leading and looked like he was finally going to win his first title. Then, NASCAR threw a caution for a car that had a flat tire. The caution erased Edwards' lead and set up a final restart, which turned into chaos. On the restart, Edwards tried to block Joey Logano, who was making a move to the inside. The 2 cars made contact, and Edwards crashed hard into the wall. His championship hopes were gone in an instant. Instead of being angry, Edwards walked over to Logano's team and shook hands, showing great sportsmanship. Just a few weeks after that race, Carl Edwards called a press conference. Many assumed he was going to announce a new contract or sponsor. Instead, he shocked the NASCAR world by announcing his retirement. He said he wanted to spend more time with his family and focus on other interests. He also mentioned concerns about his health, saying he didn't want to risk any long-term injuries. The decision was so sudden that even his own team was caught off guard. Joe Gibbs Racing had to scramble to find a replacement, eventually choosing Daniel Suarez to take over Edwards' car. Fans and analysts spent years speculating about the real reasons behind his retirement. Some believed he was frustrated with NASCAR's rules and the way the 2016 season had ended. Others thought he might be planning a comeback later. For years, Edwards stayed completely out of the spotlight. He avoided social media, rarely appeared at NASCAR events, and seemed to completely distance himself from the sport. Unlike many retired drivers who transitioned to broadcasting or team ownership, Edwards disappeared from the public eye. That's why his recent appearance on the Dale Jr. Download was such a big deal. It was one of the first times he had spoken publicly about his retirement in detail. In the interview, Edwards confirmed that the 2016 Homestead race played a big role in his decision. He admitted that losing the championship in the way he did was tough to accept.
I wanted to win that championship. It's everything. I mean, you know, it's everything I'd worked for. That's it. That's the prize you want more than anything in the world. And yes, I believe that was snatched. So that's part of it. Yes. And that was very difficult. Okay. The head injury stuff started to really be a factor for me, you know, because I didn't think about that. And now I'm like, man, I'm not just giving up my time now. There's all sorts of things that I might be giving up in the future. And then I'm going to get to Homestead at the end of 2017. I'm going to do everything just right. and they're going to throw a caution with 5 to go, and we're
Yeah.
going to put all this on a restart. And I thought, damn, I don't know if spending a whole year of my life and all the things you give up and possibly give up for, you know, one restart, like, I don't know, that's part. Yes, that's a big deal. You have to weigh that. So yeah, I guess really disappointing, but it actually helped me to say, hey, you know, this is the reality. This is how it could go, and is it worth it to you?
Edwards also shared some surprising stories about what he's been doing since retiring. He revealed that he has taken a boat across the Atlantic Ocean multiple times, something very few people ever attempt. He also talked about how much he has enjoyed spending time with his family and pursuing personal interest. Another interesting part of the interview was when he compared the cultures at Roush Fenway Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing. He spoke about how different the teams operated and how that affected his career. He also shared stories about working with teammates like Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, and Denny Hamlin.
I remember Coach came to one of our first meetings. We're going around the table. He would come and sit. Everybody sits around, drivers, engineers, crew chiefs. I can't remember if engineers were there. And he goes around and says, like, basically, you know, why didn't you win? Why didn't you win? And then he'd just say, okay, cool. You didn't win because of this. I don't know anything about that. I remember one time he said something like, I don't know anything about tires. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't need to know. You tell me what I need to do so that you can make these tires work the way you need them to work. And so he gave up all the control and put it in the hands of others and then let them kind of run the ship. And he just facilitated it, where Jack could really run everything himself, and he was like the central computer, the actual mechanical brain behind everything. And yeah, totally different.
NASCAR's playoff format has been a topic of debate for years. Before 2004, the championship was decided based on season-long performance. But NASCAR wanted more excitement, so they introduced a playoff system. In 2014, they made it even more dramatic by creating an elimination-style format. The final race became a winner-takes-all battle between 4 drivers. While this made for great entertainment, it also meant that one bad moment could ruin an entire season's worth of work. Edwards was not the only driver who struggled with this system. In 2020, Kevin Harvick had one of the most dominant seasons in NASCAR history. He won 9 races and was the clear favorite for the title. But after one bad race in the playoffs, he didn't even make the championship 4. Kyle Larson won 10 races in 2021, but had to fight until the last race to secure the title. This format rewards drama, but sometimes ignores consistency. Many believe that a driver who dominates the entire season should not lose the championship because of one unlucky moment. Officiating has also been a controversial topic. NASCAR has sometimes been accused of manipulating races for entertainment. Fans have noticed that ever since stage racing was introduced, there have been fewer questionable debris cautions. This suggests that in the past, NASCAR may have thrown unnecessary caution flags just to bunch up the field and make the races more exciting. Now, don't forget to comment down your thoughts on this situation. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well.